What's good, everyone? What's good? This your boy JTL. Well, you see the topic of discussion. Let's get it. All right. So they say men have been so bad, cheating so bad, especially black men in our community. Let's go ahead and actually look at a study. This is from ifstudies.org. I believe around 2017, 2018, somewhere around that, or 19. All right, it says, in general, men are more likely than women to cheat. 20% of men and 13% of women reported that they have had sex with someone other than their spouse while married, according to data from the General Social Survey, the GSS. Right here it says the gender cheating gap is wider among older adults. Percentage who reported having sex with someone other than spouse while married. And as you see right here at the bottom left corner of this dialogue, it shows 18 to 29, and pink being women as far as blue being men. Okay, and then it shows it has a drop off at 80 plus with women at 6% and men at 24%. So let's read what it says. However, as the figure above indicates, this gender gap varies by age. Among ever married adult ages 18 to 29, women are slightly more likely than men to be guilty of infidelity. 11% women versus 10% of men. But this gap quickly reverses among those ages 30 to 34 and grows wider in older age groups. Infidelity for both men and women increases during the middle ages. Women in their 60s report the highest rate of infidelity at 16%. But the share goes down sharply among women in their 70s and 80s. And they go up there. By comparison, the infidelity rate among men in their 70s is the highest, 26%. And it remains high among men ages 80 and older, 24%. Thus, the gender gap in cheating peaks among the oldest age group, ages 80 plus, a difference of 18% points between men and women. All right. Then it says trend data going back to the 1990s suggests that men have always been more likely than women to cheat. Even so, older men were no more likely to cheat than their younger peers in the past. In the 1990s, the infidelity rate peaked among men ages 50 to 59, 31%, and women ages 40 to 49, 18%. It was lower for both men and women at the older end of the age spectrum. Between 2000 and 2009, the highest rate of infidelity shifted to men ages 60 to 69 by 29%, and women ages 50 to 59 at 17%. Meanwhile, the gender gap at ages 80 plus increased from 5% to 12% in 2 decades. A generation of cohort effect is likely to contribute to this shifting gender gap in infidelity. As Nicholas Wolfinger noted in earlier posts, Americans born in the 40s and 50s reported the highest rates of extramarital sex, perhaps because they were the first generation to come of age during the sexual revolution. My analysis by gender suggests that men and women follow a slightly different age pattern when it comes to extramarital sex. Women born in the 40s and 50s are more likely than other women to be unfaithful to their spouse, and men born in the 30s and 40s have a higher rate than other age groups of men. The higher infidelity rates among these two cohorts contribute to the changing pattern in the gender gap as they grow older over time. In addition to gender and age, the infidelity rate also differs by a number of other demographic and social factors. For example, cheating is somewhat more common among black adults, sadly. Some 22% of ever married blacks said they have cheated on their spouse, compared with 16% of whites and 13% of Hispanics. And among black men, the rate is highest. 28% reported that they had sex with someone other than their spouse, compared with 20% of white men and 16% of Hispanic men. Now, don't forget, y'all, when it comes to white males versus black males, in this country, there's over 200 million white people. So if you say there's about, I think last I seen was like 220 million or something like that around there. So if you consider it's at least 2-3 million more women than men, then we're talking a little over 100 white guys at 20%. Think about that now. That's around 20 million. That's almost more than all the black men in this country. So if you look at 28% with black males, that's like roughly around around 5 million, something like that. But you have around 20 million white guys that cheat. So you can look at the numbers and say, oh, well, it's less of y'all and a lot of y'all cheat. But if you look at it, it's more white guys and way more of them cheat than actually we do. But I digress. So look at the demographics of cheating in America. Okay, all is 16%. With men, 20, women, 13, white, 16, black, 22, Hispanic, 13. Hold on, I want to make sure. It says percent reported having sex with someone other than spouse or married. 18 to 34, 11%. 35 to 64, 17%. 65 plus, 18%. Boy, y'all old folks is nasty. High school or less, 15. Some college, 18. College or more, 16. Democrats, wow, 18%. Republicans, 14. Independent, 15. Grew up with both parents, 15%. Did not grow up with both parents, 18%. Religious service attendance, at least once a week, which is, the people that actually, go to church and are part of a, congregation. At least once a week, 14. Several times a month, a year, 14. Once a year or less, 19. So they had to actually add in a month span of time. Okay, so a person's political identity, family background, religious activity are also related to whether or not they cheat. Overall, Democrats, adults who didn't grow up in intact families, and those who rarely or never attend religious services are more likely than others to have cheated on their spouse. For example, 15% of adults grew up with both biological parents have cheated on their spouse before, compared with 18% of those who didn't grow up with intact families. On the other hand, having a college degree is not linked to a higher chance of cheating. Almost equal shares of college-educated adults and those with high school or less education have been unfaithful to their spouse, 16 versus 15%. And the share among adults with some college education is slightly higher by 18%. Given that many of those factors could be interrelated, I ran a regression model to test the independent effect of each factor, basically holding all other factors equal. Will each factor still be related to the odds of cheating? It turned out that most of these differences, such as age, race, party identity, religious, service attendance, family background, are significant, even after controlling for other factors. And a person's education level is not significantly associated with cheating. However, when it comes to who is more likely to cheat, men and women share very few traits. Separate regression models by gender suggest that for men, being Republican and growing up in an intact family are not linked to a lower chance of cheating. After controlling for other factors, but race, age, and religious service attendance are still significant factors. Likewise, men's education level is also positively linked to their odds of cheating. By comparison, party ID, family background, and religious service attendance are still significant factors for cheating among women, while race, age, and educational attainment are not relevant factors. In fact, religious service attendance is the only factor that shows consistent significance in predicting both men and women's odds of infidelity. Infidelity is painful to the person who is being cheated on and can be detrimental to the relationship. Although statistics on the link between infidelity and divorce are hard to find, my analysis based on the GSS data suggests that adults who cheated are much more likely than those who didn't to be divorced or separated. All right, so here it said cheating is closely linked to divorce and separation. Okay, so cheated on spouse, 53, 40 and 7. Did not cheat on spouse, 76, 17, and 7. So the ones who are currently married, 53% cheated on their spouse, while the ones that did not cheat on their spouse was actually 76% divorced or separated, 40% who cheated on their spouse, 17% did not, and 7 on both ends of the spectrum are widow when it comes to cheating or did not cheat. Among ever married adults who have cheated, on their spouses before 40% are currently divorced or separated. By comparison, only 17% of adults who were faithful to their spouse are no longer married. On the flip side, only about half of cheaters are currently married, compared with 76% of those who did not cheat. That's pretty high. Men who cheated are more likely than their female peers to be married. Among men who have cheated on their spouse before, 61% are currently married, while 34% are divorced or separated. However, only 44% of women who have cheated before are currently married, while 47% are divorced or separated. This gender difference could reflect the fact that men are more likely to be remarried than women after divorce. A portion of currently married cheaters may be remarried, since we can't tell from the data whether or not the person who cheated is still married to the spouse he or she cheated on. All right, so let's go back up here real quick and deal with the first part I read. Now, give me a second. Let me get back up. I don't want to go past it. All right. In general, men are more likely than women to cheat. 20% of men and 13% of women reported that they have had sex with someone other than their spouse while married, according to the data from the GSS General Social Survey. So, if you're looking at this, whether they do model numbers off it or not, 20% of men, 13% of women. With all the numbers total, that's on a 7% gap. And then you see they broke down the ages. Women are slightly more likely than men to cheat at 18 to 29, 11% to 10%. So when we keep seeing all this, oh, man did this, man did that, and then you look at the ages, 30s and 40s, you know what I mean, 50s and 60s, you see how the numbers pretty much like widen. Especially when it comes to age and, generations and stuff like that. So when we hear all of this bullshit that men back in the days was cheating so bad, kind of find out the numbers was not that high. Then you look at around the days time, it's only a 7% gap, especially when you look at 18 to 29. Women are more likely to cheat than men. And I'm going to put this in the description box as the link. Y'all can look at the whole thing for yourself, go through anything else and find more searches. But I did this because we keep hearing about how bad men cheat and all this, and come to find out, because I seen other studies, and I need to find that so I can do a show on that as well. But come to find out other studies that 6% of men who cheat like that, a lot of them are 9 times out of 10 to be the main ones that a lot of women are attracted to and go after. That's why, like, when you have the top 10%, the top 20%, a lot of women are most likely to go after those guys. A lot of those guys are the ones that having a lot of the children. So when it comes to black men, if you got 51 to 52% of black men from 18 and up don't even have kids, then you might start seeing that, men are actually a little smarter than you think and give them credit for. But at the same time, especially in these days age, from the baby boomer generation and being part of the sexual revolution, was out here wilding. So it was not just granddaddy out here cheating and being nasty. Grandma was out here. A lot of grandmas was out here too now. So y'all can go ahead, read through this study again. I'm going to link it in the description so y'all can read through it again. But it was just to show that there is a lot of bullshit when they're making it seem like granddaddy was all out here wilding and grandma wasn't doing something half the time too. Like I said, in plenty of videos. So like I said, this is ifstudies.org, and you can look at the link in the description. You can go through it and see other things. So for my guys out there, you don't have to be the pieces of shit that a lot of women, especially a lot of black women, may be trying to make us out to be, when a lot of us actually are not. Do your research and find out the numbers. It's JTL. I'm out. Chip!